The royal family is facing fresh questions about who pays for some of its most expensive homes. And this time, the spotlight is firmly on Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. A new report from Britain's National Audit Office has revealed that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's daughters have benefited from royal housing arrangements for nearly 2 decades, despite not being working members of the royal family. The findings have reignited a debate that many people thought had gone away years ago. How much support should non-working royals receive, and who should be paying for it? According to the report, Princess Beatrice was offered a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment at St James's Palace when she was just 19 years old and preparing to attend university. She and Princess Eugenie reportedly lived there rent-free until 2012. When rent arrangements were eventually introduced, it was said at the time that their father, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, would cover the costs. Even then, the reported annual payment was around £20,000, which was considered significantly below market value for a residence in one of London's most prestigious royal palaces. Today, both women are married, have families of their own, and enjoy successful careers. Princess Beatrice is married to property developer Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi and divides her time between London and the family's home in the Cotswolds. Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank split their time between Ivy Cottage at Kensington Palace and a villa in Portugal, where they are raising their 2 sons. What has surprised many observers is that despite their financial independence, questions remain about why the current housing arrangements continue. The National Audit Office found that rental calculations for both princesses had been based on outdated property valuations for years. In Eugenie's case, her rent continued to be calculated using a 2018 valuation. For Beatrice, it was based on a 2020 valuation. The report found that Eugenie's rent varied between 50% and 63% of the assessed market value between 2020 and 2025. Beatrice's rent ranged between 60% and 68% of the assessed market value over a similar period. Under royal household policy, non-working members of the royal family are generally expected to pay an adjusted rent equivalent to 60% of open market value. Critics argue that even this arrangement is generous. Former Liberal Democrat Minister Norman Baker did not hold back. He described the situation as outrageous and argued that there was no justification for non-working royals receiving what he viewed as indirect subsidies. His comments have attracted significant attention because they tap into a long-running public debate about royal finances and transparency. The report goes far beyond Beatrice and Eugenie. It also contains fresh details about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's former living arrangements at Royal Lodge in Windsor. According to the findings, he was allowed to sublet 3 of the 8 properties located on the Royal Lodge estate. That detail alone has prompted further scrutiny. Questions are now expected to be examined by Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, which will review aspects of the lease arrangement alongside correspondence involving the Crown Estate and the Treasury. For years, Royal Lodge has been one of the most talked about royal residences. The property became even more controversial following Andrew's withdrawal from public life. Now, the National Audit Office report has added another chapter to that story. While much of the attention has focused on Andrew's daughters, the report also revealed details about several other royal housing arrangements. One of the most striking examples involves Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. Many royal watchers will remember the headlines from 2002, when it emerged that the couple were paying what was described as a peppercorn rent of just £69 per week for apartment 10 at Kensington Palace. The story generated enormous criticism at the time. Newspapers famously nicknamed them the Rent-a-Kents. Public pressure eventually led to demands that they pay a proper commercial rent. However, according to the report, the late Queen stepped in and privately funded their rent herself. What many people may not have realised is that this support apparently continued throughout the years. The National Audit Office says that following Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022, King Charles continued the arrangement. The report found that there had been no recorded valuation of the lease before this year. Current rent levels are now said to be around 63% of the 2026 market valuation. Meanwhile, the report paints a very different picture when it comes to the Prince and Princess of Wales. William and Catherine's housing arrangements appear designed to avoid many of the criticisms directed at other royals. According to the report, the couple pay £307,200 per year for their home Forest Lodge. Before they moved in, the Crown Estate reportedly spent around £400,000 renovating the property, its cottages, and surrounding grounds. Forest Lodge is no small residence. The estate includes an 8-bedroom Georgian house, 6 bathrooms, gardens, a paddock, a barn, tennis court, pond, and several cottages. One of those cottages is occupied by a member of staff who pays nearly £20,000 annually in rent. The Wales family signed a 20-year lease and are subject to regular rent reviews tied to inflation. The arrangement appears far closer to what most people would expect from a conventional lease agreement. Elsewhere, the report examined the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's long-standing lease at Bagshot Park. Edward and Sophie entered into a 150-year lease agreement in 2007, with a payment of £5 million. The arrangement also allows parts of the estate to be sublet with Crown Estate approval. At one stage, the stable complex generated private income through rental agreements with a third party. The report also mentioned Princess Alexandra, one of Queen Elizabeth II's cousins. She lives at Thatched House Lodge in Richmond Park, under a separate lease arrangement involving a trust. Her daughter Marina Ogilvie occupies a cottage on the Windsor estate and pays annual rent of more than £17,000. Following publication of the report, both Buckingham Palace and the Crown Estate issued statements. The Crown Estate said the leases were agreed using independent professional advice and open market valuations. Buckingham Palace welcomed the report and said it reflected the royal household's commitment to transparency. The palace also noted that different arrangements exist for different properties, depending on their purpose, location, and occupants. Still, it is the revelations involving Beatrice and Eugenie that have generated the strongest reaction. Many royal watchers have pointed out that neither woman is a working royal. Neither carries out official duties on behalf of the king as part of the core working royal family. Both are married to wealthy husbands and maintain successful professional careers. That is why the question being asked by many commentators is relatively simple. Should royal housing support continue indefinitely for family members who are no longer performing official royal duties? For now, there are no indications that the arrangements are about to change. But with Parliament's Public Accounts Committee expected to examine aspects of the report, the conversation surrounding royal property arrangements is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. And as we've seen before, once questions about royal finances begin making headlines, they tend to stick around for quite a while. So what do you think? Should Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie continue receiving these housing arrangements, or should non-working royals be paying full market rent like everyone else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll have more royal news and analysis coming very soon.